What's in my smoothie? What's in my sandwich? I'm sure many of you have asked a similar question before, but the answer is more complex than just some fruit or dairy products. The real answer is genetically modified organisms, or as most people know them, GMOs. Now, GMOs are exactly as they sound, right? They're organisms that have had their genetics modified, but it's not actually just that simple. During the growth of this presentation, we will go through what these organisms are, what these organisms do, and what the future holds for GMOs. Let's plant the seed and look at what these organisms are. Now, the definition of a GMO is an organism whose genome has been altered by techniques of genetic engineering so that it contains one or more genes not normally found there. Now, what this basically means is they took a gene from something and put it into this organism to make it bigger or help it survive. And this isn't just done to plants as people normally think. There are also a lot of genetically modified animals. According to EncuVillage, some of the genetically modified animals are pigs, goats, salmon, cows, and many other animals that people don't even realize are modified. And any popular crop you can think of has modified versions. But this doesn't mean that all plants and animals are modified. There are still farms out there that grow completely natural crops and animals. These farms are called organic because they lack any modified organisms. Now, the GMO companies don't label their foods, but a lot of the organic farmers do. So if you want to know if you're eating GMOs, just look for the non-GMO label. As this presentation grows into a seedling, let's look at what these crops can actually do. As of now, they've designed crops that can survive more pesticides and herbicides being poured on them. This has decreased plant deaths and in turn has increased crop yield. Now, the animals also have other uses than just being bigger. According to Live Science, they have crossed spider genetics with goats. This way, when they milk the goat, they can extract the silk, which is stronger than spider silk. This can be used for industrial and medical purposes. They have also come up with frost-resistant tomatoes, glow-in-the-dark pigs, and potatoes and apples that will not bruise or brown. Now, I know that glow-in-the-dark pigs may sound irrelevant right now, but they could be the precursor to improvements in the field of genetic modification. Now finally, we butt into the future. With these plants only being about 20 years old, we still have a lot to learn from them to see what they can do. After reading an article from Discover, I was reminded of possible drought-resistant crops. With California going through a major drought right now, it's obvious that these crops could be useful to both California and others who might need them in the future. They could increase food supply and help these people in terrible conditions. So we know these crops have a good future possibly, but as we go along, we will need to continue to study these crops and these animals. We will need to weigh the risks and benefits to human health. Because even though these crops could have a bright future, the health of every person is more important. Let's go over the growth and development of this presentation. First off, we learned what these crops are and the organisms that are involved, or what these organisms are and some that are involved. Second, we learned what these organisms do and some of the animals that are modified. And finally, we looked at the future and possibilities of these organisms. So next time you go to ask what's in your smoothie, take a second to think about what really is in your smoothie. Thank you.